Hello, everyone. I've just had 3 Zoom counseling clients. So this is very timely because my next talk I was going to record was about Zoom fatigue. And I am feeling a bit fatigued right now. So I was interested to find some research, the first I could find, that came out in February this year. It was run by Stanford researchers from University in America about the consequences of spending hours working with clients or meetings on Zoom. And they gave a survey, which I'll talk about later, to people. And they found that basically there were 4 main reasons why we tend to find talking by Zoom, working with clients, having meetings on Zoom, why we find those particularly tiring. So I'll just run through those reasons, and I suspect that you'll probably relate to some of them. First reason is they found that excessive amounts of close eye-up contact is highly intense and unusual for human interactions. They found that in a normal meeting, people will variously be looking at the speaker, taking notes, looking elsewhere. But on Zoom calls, everyone is looking at everybody else all the time. A listener is treated non-verbally like a speaker. So even if you don't speak once in a meeting, you're still looking at faces staring at you. The amount of eye contact is dramatically increased. And they found that social anxiety of public speaking is one of the biggest phobias that exist in our population. When you're standing up there and everyone's staring at you, that is a stressful experience. Similarly, another source of the stress was depending on your monitor size and whether you are using an external monitor, faces on video conferencing can appear too large for comfort. So when someone's face is that close to ours in real life, our brains interpret that as an intense situation that's either going to lead to mating or to conflict. So their solution to this was, until the platforms changed their interface, Jenkinson, who was the researcher, recommends taking Zoom out of the full screen option and reducing the size of the Zoom window relative to the monitor to minimize the face size, and to use an external keyboard to allow an increase in the personal space bubble between yourself and the monitor. Second finding they had, that seeing yourself during video chats constantly in real time is tiring. They found that most video platforms show a square of what you look like on camera during a chat. But he says that's unnatural. In the real world, if somebody was following you around with a mirror constantly, so that while you are talking to people, making decisions, giving feedback, getting feedback, if you were staring at yourself in a mirror at the same time, that would be crazy. So he says that's another source of the stress. So he says a solution to that one is that platforms change the default practice of beaming the video to both ourselves and others, when it only needs to be sent to other people, not ourselves. In the meantime, users should use the hide self view button, which one can access by right-clicking their own photo, and once they see their face is framed properly in the video, to give ourselves a break from staring at ourselves all the time. The third stressor he found was that video chats dramatically reduce our usual mobility. In person and audio phone conversations, it allows us to walk around, move. With video conferencing, most cameras have a set field of view, meaning a person has to generally stay in the same spot. Movement is limited. There's a growing amount of research they found that shows that when people are moving, they are performing better cognitively. So their suggestions for that difficulty are that we think more about the room that we are video conferencing in and where the camera is positioned, and whether things like an external keyboard can help create distance or flexibility. For example, an external camera further away from the screen will allow you to pace and doodle in virtual meetings rather than having everything in your face. And fourthly, the other main difficulty was the high cognitive load of most video chats. The researchers found that in regular face-to-face interactions, non-verbal communication is quite natural, and each of us naturally makes and interprets gestures and non-verbal cues. But in chats on the video, we have to work harder to send and receive these non-verbal signals. They've got to make sure your head is framed with the center of the video. If you want to show someone you are agreeing with them, you have to do an exaggerated nod or a thumbs up. He says gestures are more difficult to interpret. So their solution there was, during long stretches of meetings, give yourself an audio-only break. This is not simply you turning off your camera to take a break from having to non-verbally be active, but also turning your body away from the screen. So that for a few minutes, you are not smothered with gestures that are perceptually realistic, but socially meaningless. So there, therefore, suggest 4 problems they found in people. They produced what they call a Zeph scale. And the kind of questions that they asked people was about general fatigue. How tired do you feel about video conferencing? How exhausted do you feel after video conferencing? How mentally drained do you feel after doing a conference? Visual fatigue. How blurred does your vision get after doing a video conference? How irritated do your eyes feel? How much do your eyes hurt after doing video conferencing? Next category, social fatigue. How much do you tend to avoid social situations after video conferencing? How much do you want to be alone after video conferencing? How much do you need time by yourself after video conferencing? Fourth category, motivational fatigue. How much do you dread having to do these things or anything after doing video conferencing? How often do you feel like doing nothing after a video conference? How often do you feel too tired to do anything after a video conference? And finally, the 5th category, emotional fatigue. How emotionally drained do you feel after video conferencing? How irritable do you feel after doing video conferencing? And finally, how moody do you feel after video conferencing? So, If you've wondered if you're the only person that gets tired after doing client work by video rather than face-to-face, there's a good reason for that. And other people are finding the same. So attached to this video link which I'll send out, I'll also include the Zeph scale and also the article that I took it from. So good luck out there and don't get too tired.